I'm excited to show you again how I quilted the center medallion of this double wedding ring quilt made by Alicia. You're getting a view from the back of my machine this time. It's a little closer up and easy to see. I'm using the seam here as a guide to make a diamond shape in the center of this white space. I'm using my curve it ruler on this quilt, and it's going to create a really pretty curved diamond shape to accentuate the design I'm going to quilt in the middle. Now I'm going to quilt a half a petal shape from this corner into the center. As you can see, I'm kind of using my finger to mark where the center is, but you could also make a little mark with a water-soluble pen or a chalk pencil. From there, I simply made a circle to indicate the center of the flower. And then I began making petal shapes all the way around the edge. I'm just fitting these in organically. I'm not measuring them or making sure there's a certain number in each section. As I said in part 1 of this video, I got this flower design from one of the fabrics in this quilt. I always try to get some inspiration from the fabric when I'm designing the quilting designs, because then I know it will mimic the look that the quilter likes for the quilt. I want this flower to be the focal point of the quilting, so I'm going to add some lines to echo that inner diamond shape. And then I'm going to fill in these outside triangle sections with some circular pebble shapes just to create a really nice background texture. I'll stitch in the ditch over to the next quadrant, grab my ruler. I'm putting the ruler right on the line of the previous row of stitching, and that's going to give me a 1/4 inch spacing between these lines. I like the look of a more circular pebble with this fabric, so that's what I'm going for. I do alternate the sizes of them to have more of an organic look. I, of course, have to make them smaller when I'm quilting down into that point, and then I can make them bigger and smaller in the center sections. Once again, I'll stitch in the ditch over to the next section and use my ruler to create 3 more lines that are going to help set apart that center flower. Never underestimate the power of echoing and creating more lines to help define a space or to help accentuate a space. And then also the power of these pebbles is just a nice texture, and you're really going to be able to see the texture because of the light background fabric. You can see how I use my hand on the quilt, and that's just to help quilt in the tiniest bit of fullness that I might see. Any quilt with curves or that's cut on the bias typically has a little bit of fullness, and so I'm just using my hand to help push that into the quilting instead of it pushing all to one section and creating a tuck. One thing to think about when you're quilting these pebbles is to not create a repeating pattern when you're making them. So I don't necessarily go small pebble, big pebble, small pebble, big pebble, but I like to alternate in a way that's not repetitive so it doesn't draw attention to this section. Be sure to leave me a comment and let me know if you like this back camera angle or if you prefer the front camera angle in part 1 of this video series.